you're going to have to get me back on track here. Why did we start this conversation?
No idea.
Welcome to Unhinged, separating faith from fiction. I'm your host, Michele Kus, and I'm joined by my co-host, the always brilliant Dr. Martin Trench. And today we're talking about Christianity's weird habit of treating the body like a problem and the spirit like the solution. And we are here to unteach that nonsense. Martin's going to be bringing some of his stories of when he was a pastor, including the time someone accused him of being satanic for encouraging people to pray with their emotions. We're going to be talking about some bad translations of some Greek words, purity culture's impact on your nervous system, and why God becoming human is the theological mic drop that the church seems to keep ignoring. Oh, and heads up, toward the end of the episode, we do touch on some adult topics. So if you've got little ones nearby, this would be a good episode to pop in an AirPod. Thanks for joining us, and let's dive in.
There is not a lot of good teaching in the Christian church about embodied spirituality. In some religions there is. So like in Hinduism, for instance, yoga is a form of spirituality or meditation that involves your body.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in Christianity, particularly modern Christianity, we tend to deny the body, downplay the body, and in some places downplay the mind.
Yeah.
Watchman Nee, okay, I'm sorry to offend people, but I do not understand why people like Watchman Nee. Like his book, The Latent Power of the Soul, demonizes the human mind and human emotions. And anything involving your mind or emotions makes you soulish.
Yeah.
As if your soul is sinful. And then, of course, there's lots of parts of Christianity in which your body is sinful. And so, therefore, the only thing that is holy, if you like, is your spirit and spiritual things. Well, that is even more dualistic than Gnosticism was. God created us body, mind, and spirit. We are whole beings.
Yeah.
Jesus had a physical body. His physical body got hungry and tired. It had natural feelings to it. There was nothing sinful about that. And so there's a real lack in Christian teaching of a holistic understanding of the human being. Jesus did not just redeem your spirit. He redeemed you, the whole person. He redeemed you, the whole person. I shared this on social media recently that years ago, I was invited to a church in Idaho Falls, which is a real Mormon place. So I go there and I'm invited to this church. Nice people, not criticizing the people, okay? But it was one of these churches that I personally would not attend. Mm-hmm. It was hyper charismaniac. They had an altar at the front with the Star of David flag hanging on it, the Israel flag hanging on it, and menorahs and King Arthur type swords and shofar, all the thing.
Right.
It's all supposed to be prophetic stuff, Anyway, whatever. I was there to share a message. I wasn't there to judge, right? But I remember thinking, yeah, if it was a choice between this and the Mormon church, I'm not sure which of the two I would go to. I might have to drive out the city to find a place. But anyway, I taught this message, and it was about prayer. If I remember right, I was talking about prayer, and I was talking about being integrated as a person. Okay, Christians often use the word integrity. Oh, he's a man of integrity. Well, okay, what does that mean? The word integrity means to be integrated.
Yep.
Right? If a piece of metal is lacking integrity, it's not been smelted properly or whatever. The metal is not properly integrated. There's weaknesses or flaws in it, right? So to have integrity means to be fully integrated. To be lacking in integrity would be, I say one thing with my mouth, I act another way with my actions, and I feel a totally different way with my emotions.
Exactly.
That is lacking in integrity. You're not integrated.
Yeah.
How many Christians act and speak a way that they've been told to act and speak, but inside they feel like their personality is dying inside because this is not me. I'm like obeying the culture in my little group, but I don't feel like I'm coming alive inside. I feel different.
Yeah.
That's not integrity. I know a guy once told me, well, I've never changed what I believe in 35 years. I was discipled by Pastor so-and-so 35 years ago, and I have never moved 1 inch on any of my beliefs because that's what integrity is. No, what? You've never learned anything new in 35 years?
That's frightening.
No, that's not integrity. That's fear or something. Fear of being deceived or being led astray or whatever. So God made us spiritual beings, emotional beings, psychological beings, physical beings, social beings, right? There's a whole lot. We are complicated. I like the New Living Translation. What psalm is it? You knit me together in my mother's womb. Do you remember that one?
139?
39. The New Living Translation says, thank you, Lord, for making me so complex. And I like that. God has made us so complex. Human beings are so complex. What is amazing about that is if you truly get to know someone, maybe it's like your child or a life partner or someone that you're going to be with for years to come, you realize that there's so many different depths to that person.
Yeah.
They're not just the surface person that you met to begin with. They are highly complex.
Yeah.
You too are highly complex. And all of that's good. So anyway, I'm talking about being integrated, that we are whole people. And I said, even when we're praying, don't think of prayer as just a spiritual thing. And don't think of it as just a verbal thing where you're stringing words together and speaking them to God. But, the Bible encourages us to lift up holy hands, to kneel, to bow before Him. Our bodies are involved and our emotions should be involved as well. If I don't really have any feeling about the thing I'm praying about, why am I praying about it? Is it really that important to me? If I have feelings, even our imagination, a lot of Christians have been told that your imagination's bad or something like that. But when I'm praying, I'm not just speaking the words, I'm visualizing or seeing or imagining the thing that I'm praying about.
Yeah.
And if it means something to me, I'm feeling it as well. Love the Lord with all your heart and all your mind and all your strength, right? Every part of you. So after this, I did not think there was anything controversial about that. I have learned anything you say is controversial to somebody, right?
Oh,
but
yes.
I didn't think there was. This woman came up to me after the service and she was visibly shaking and she wanted to speak to me and she couldn't make eye contact with me. And when she spoke to me, her voice was trembling. And I thought, that's what's happened with this woman. And she said, your message was satanic, she said. And I said, what? Encouraging people to pray with their whole heart?
How dare you?
And she said, it was satanic. And I said, in what way was it satanic? And she said, you encouraged us to be sensual. And I'm like, she said, God doesn't want us to be sensual. It's Satan who wants us to be sensual. Christians should never be sensual. And I'm thinking sensual, like, is she using sensual to mean sexual? Is she, in what way is she using sensual? Yeah. I was honestly trying to wrap my head around what she was saying. But when you have a totally different starting point from somebody else, it's hard to connect at times. And I said, okay, please explain what you mean by sensual. She said, you encouraged us to feel our emotions. Emotions are feelings you get in your body. Your body's the flesh. Satan wants you to feel your emotions because then he can lead you away from God. But God doesn't want you to feel your emotions or have feelings in your body. Now, by the way, her husband was standing about a foot behind her, looking seriously depressed. I
can imagine why. Poor guy.
Poor guy. I think it was him that needed prayer. But anyway.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I could not, like, I was literally speechless.
Yeah.
God does not. And I thought to myself, your life must be torturous. It must be torture to live inside your head and to have those thoughts that you're not allowed to feel emotions. Jesus was moved with compassion.
Yeah.
Jesus was angry in the temple. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this idea, so she said, your body is sinful, which the Bible doesn't teach.
Right.
And emotions are feelings you get in your body, which is probably not 100% accurate, but yeah, there is a connection. Okay, so I get there's a connection. And she said that that made them the flesh. Now, I think there's a real problem. I think Christians have a real problem with this word flesh in the New Testament, and they think it means your physical body. But in the Greek, it's a different word. The Greek word for body is soma. The Greek word for flesh is sarx. It's a different word. There is nothing wrong with soma. Your body, your soma, is never called sinful or bad anywhere in Scripture. So you're made up of pneuma, spirit, your psyche, your mind, and soma, your body. We even use those terms today. Yeah. If someone has a psychosomatic illness, they have an illness that began in the mind, maybe with worry or anxiety or something, and has now manifested in the body with ulcers or heart, chest pains or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
So that is the whole person. May the God of peace, Paul says, and I think it's 1 Thessalonians, make you whole in every way. May your spirit, pneuma, and soul, your psyche, and body, soma, be preserved until the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. Never, ever sinful. Now, sarx is translated as flesh. And unfortunately, the NIV translated sarx as sinful nature, which lots of Bible scholars and Bible translators were never happy with the NIV doing that, because the word sarx does not have the word sin attached to it, right? The best translation for the word sarx would not be sinful nature, it would just be nature. Paul tells us animals have one flesh, fish have another flesh, humans have another flesh. It's all the word sarx. You know, when he's talking about the resurrection body, he likens different kinds of flesh, and it's the word sarx he uses. So basically he's saying dogs have a canine nature, cats have a feline nature, cows have a bovine nature, people have a human nature. So sarx, when talking about humans, is really talking about your human nature or your natural instincts. So your natural instincts are not in and of themselves sinful, but if you allow them to control you, walk in the Spirit, and you will not fulfill the lusts of the flesh. Better translation, you will not be controlled by the impulses of your human nature. If I haven't eaten for a long time and I am hungry, that's a natural instinct, okay?
Yeah.
If I'm going to let that control me, if I'm going to let that being hungry is not sinful. But if I'm going to wrestle food out of your hands to satisfy my own hunger, then that is sinful, okay? So because a lot of Christians in the Western world reading the English language, read the word flesh and think, oh, that must mean body, then they see that sometimes they'll read translations for flesh as sinful nature. Oh, I must have a sinful nature. I've got two natures now.
Right.
I'm like schizophrenic.
Such a bad teaching.
I know. And
it's so prevalent and so unhelpful.
I must fight against myself.
Yeah. And they quote that verse of Paul saying, you know, I don't want to do what I do. And
yeah, exactly. And so then they think, okay, I've got a sinful nature now, and it's the flesh. And since my body is made of flesh and blood, it must be my body which is sinful, not understanding that body is soma, not sarx.
Yeah.
Therefore, my body must be sinful. Therefore, what I need to do is become so spiritual, so anointed, and focus so much on spiritual things, almost like as an escape from bodily living, that I will become some kind of spiritual Superman.
Yeah.
Now, that shows itself up in different... So in Word of Faith, I was part of Word of Faith churches for a long time. In Word of Faith teaching, it really comes from E.W. Kenyon actually taught you can become a Superman. He actually used that phrase. You can become a Superman, which is really unhelpful. Then there was the kind of latter rain movement that came after Pentecostalism. where they were like, you will become a manifest son of God.
Mm-hmm. Well, I still hear that a lot today in churches.
I know. And it's, okay, there is a verse in Romans, I think it is. It says, the whole of creation is groaning in expectation for the manifestation of the sons of God in the King James language. Other translations would say, the whole of creation is waiting for the day when God's sons will be revealed. Okay? There will be a day when it is clear. Like, it's reading an awful lot into that verse to say that we're going to become that all of us are going to become some supernatural miracle workers, that bullets won't affect us. And if I need to go to Timbuktu to preach the gospel, I don't even need to buy a plane ticket anymore. I just need to go into my closet and shut the door and translate there or something like that. and then I'm sure there are stories of miraculous things that have happened to people, but they are not normative. This idea of miracles being normative means that they are no longer miracles. The whole point of a miracle is that it's not normative. It's something out of the ordinary that therefore attracts people's attention. Oh, God is at work here. These things do not normally happen, right? But we're going to be walking about reading everybody's minds prophetically. And Jesus once told a woman all about her life, that she had 5 husbands. So now that's going to become normal in everyday communication. We're going to be revealing everybody's secrets and all of this kind of stuff. We're going to be impervious to persecution. Oh, if someone tries to persecute us, fire will come out of our mouth and consume our enemies, because there's a verse in Revelation that sounds a bit like that. And before you know it, we've got this idea that the purpose of being a Christian is to be some spiritual superhuman person who no longer is human anymore, right? But that is the opposite of the gospel. The gospel is that the most supernatural being, God, became a flesh and blood human.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And to redeem humanity, flesh and blood humanity. Seated at the right hand of the Father is a flesh and bone body. Jesus, resurrected. Touch me. I am flesh and bone, not a spirit or a supernatural Superman.
Yeah.
You could say, oh, yeah, but he could appear. After his resurrection. Yes. But it's not that we deny our humanity. It's not that we shed our humanity. It's that God has redeemed our humanity. And physical things, your physical body is good. Your emotions are good. The fact that you can think logically is a good thing.
Yeah.
Not only spiritual things that are good.
Yeah.
It's not only natural human things that are bad, even spiritual things can be bad. You know, people can be spiritually abused as well as physically abused. This idea of being integrated and being a whole person, an actual embodied spirituality, that is absolutely necessary for human flourishing. So many Christians do not actually flourish as human beings. They might become strong in their faith. They might have a great prayer life, but in many ways, they're not flourishing in a healthy way as human beings in relationships and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, physical health.
Yeah, and so you go down that path, and eventually all human things are almost despised. There are some times that what you really need to do is crash out on the couch and put on Netflix and get a bag of Cheetos and just veg out there, because your body and your brain and your emotions need a rest.
I mean, that's basically what Elijah did, right?
It is. But what are you doing for the kingdom of God? Is that really glorifying the Lord? You should be in intercessory prayer. And so you get that thing that no matter how much you pray, it's not enough. No matter how much you read the Bible, it's not enough. No matter how often you go to church, it's not enough, because you're constantly trying to deny your humanity. And before you know it, you get to teachings like, and I've been a pastor for 35 years. So honestly, I am not good at pastoral counseling. I gave it up years ago because I'm not good at it. I would rather people who are good at it. And also because people would come and tell me their problems, and I would think, that's your problem. I hear my problems. And also, but I've heard all kinds of things, and the amount of times I have heard from kids that are abandoning their faith because their parents wouldn't actually let them be normal human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Or the amount of times I've heard about marriages that were broken up because the wife believed that sex was only to have children. And we've had our children, so now we no longer have sex because it would be sinful to have any physical enjoyment. It's usually ones that were brought up in purity culture churches.
Yeah.
Where they were basically taught that their body was disgusting and sinful.
Yeah.
And must always be covered up and all that. But the moment they're married, a switch in their brain is supposed to be flicked. And now they're supposed to enjoy sex, that they're married. But they have been neurologically wired since childhood to fear any physical pleasure at all. And actually the same applies to the men. The amount of men that are brought up in purity culture. I remember at one point thinking, do I need to do sex seminars or something like that?
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, it's shocking, but isn't it also tragically sad?
Yeah, for sure.
That people go their whole life denying their humanity.
Yeah.
I remember once being in a seminar and that topic came up and this woman blurted out really loud, like, this is how you make a seminar go silent. She blurted out and said, well, sex is only for procreation. It's only to have children. It's not for enjoyment. And anyway, women don't get any enjoyment out of it anyway, she said. And you could see the women in the room kind of side-eyeing each other thinking, oh my goodness. No wonder her.
I hope her husband wasn't there.
Oh, he divorced her years ago.
Oh.
And then you think, how tragic.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I love that we're doing this podcast, Martin, is because this kind of stuff, if people will receive it, will set them free.
Yep.
It will absolutely set them free if they are open to hearing it.
Not just spiritually, it sets them free in every way. It sets them free emotionally. It sets them free from a whole bunch of anxiety and worry.
Mm-hmm.
If they're like that woman I mentioned earlier on, it's going to set their sex life free and their husband's going to send us a donation to thank us. I mean, it's going to literally set people free from so many hang-ups.
Yeah.
Isn't it sad that Christians have more hang-ups than non-Christians very often?
Yeah. Wow. Isn't that a true statement? How many hang-ups we have as Christians that people who don't identify as Christians don't seem to have. So, something to think about. And this is your weekly reminder that God did not call you to escape being human. He stepped into your humanity and my humanity to redeem it. Freedom is not found in denying your body or your emotions or your human nature. Freedom is actually found in integrating all of who you are into the life of God. So go be beautifully human this week. Feel your feelings, pray your prayers, lift up your holy hands in prayer, dance, sing, enjoy your life. If this episode challenged you or freed you or maybe made you laugh nervously, go ahead and hit follow. Make sure you're following the show so you don't miss next week's, which is actually going to be a continuation of this conversation that Martin and I are having. And make sure you share the episode with a friend who might be still trying to be a spiritual superhero. I'm going to drop all of our links down in the show notes, and there's a link that is very special. It says, text us your question. And if you tap on that link, you can send us a one-way text if you're in the US or Canada. And just send us your first name and your question. And we will do our best to address your question on an upcoming episode. Have a great week. I hope you loved it. And we'll see you on the next one.
I'm not a ghost in the cage of skin. I'm spirit breath. I'm flesh again. Every heartbeat speaks his name. Heaven hums through human frame. Yo, they said, kill your body, call it holy. Taught me to split what God made. Holy dualistic. but love showed up and said, all of you's true, they fear the touch, the tears, the feel, but wholeness hums in what is real. No shame in bone, no hate for skin. Divinity chose to dwell within. Don't call it sin when it's just sensation. The body's part of the conversation. Prayer's not escape, it's integration. Heaven's in this respiration. I'm beautifully human, fearfully made. Heaven in motion, love displayed. Body, mind, and spirit, I'm whole again. No shame in the temple he's living in. I'm beautifully human, and that's divine. Spirit and skin by divine design. Grace in the dust, glory in view. He became flesh to make it all new. Yeah, they said emotion leads you astray, but Jesus wept, he felt that way. Prayer's not sterile, it's soul and sinew. It's rhythm and tears and what you've been through. Greek says sark's not sinful nature, lost in translation, man-made failure. So my body, sacred ground, God moved in, not looking down. Don't deny what he designed. Redemption's flesh and bone combined. Holiness has skin and scars. That's how grace got into ours. I'm beautifully human, fearfully made. Heaven in motion, love displayed. Body, mind, and spirit, I'm whole again. No shame in the temple he's living in. I'm beautifully human, and that's divine. Spirit and skin by divine design. Grace in the dust, glory in view. He became flesh to make it all new. He didn't come to make us less human. He came to show us what being human really means. Every heart beats holy. Every breath belongs. Not a Superman, just beautifully human. Grace is God's own union.